This stuff is so good. Hi, welcome to Life in a Bottle, Season 2, Episode 60. Holy cats, here we are in the last 2 weeks of 2020. What a year. On that note, we're going to dive right into it. I'm super excited to bring this wine to you guys. Brand new wine to Ancona's, one that we've never really worked with before, but comes to us highly recommended from some winemakers with a little bit of tout. So we'll get to that in just a second here. Where are we? We're in the United States. We're in California. And we're in Paso Robles, California. This is the 2017 Bold Wine Company Cabernet Sauvignon from Seabold Cellars. Now, Seabold Cellars has been around for a handful or so of years. They got their start in 2014 with Peter Fig and Chris Miller. Chris Miller, a master sommelier, and Peter, a horticulturalist, enologist, viticulturalist, who together they combined forces and made Seabold Cellars, where their goal from the get-go was to make wines that spoke of the place in which they were grown. They didn't want wines that tasted like great oak barrels or anything. They wanted wines to taste like where they came from. And they've been accomplishing that. Peter, unfortunately, sadly passed away in 2017, and Chris has been helming the operation since. They continue to make really beautiful wine. So, to get into this wine specifically, it's from Paso Robles, but it's just over the border from the Monterey Bay area, as far as wine regions are concerned. So in the Monterey Bay area, it's going to be a little bit cooler than some of the surrounding areas, especially as you go further inland. So that does a couple of things. First, it allows the grapes to ripen slowly, but completely and fully over a little bit longer season. They've got beautiful sunshiny days, and they've got nice cool nights that are cooled off by that breeze coming in from the Pacific. So that diurnal shift that we've discussed before, where your daytime high and your nighttime low are separated by a great big swing, and that gets you that beautiful ripeness and that aromatic and phenolic complexity without being so overly ripe that you lose any of that freshness or acidity that these wines keep beautifully. What goes into this bottle specifically is 83% Cabernet Sauvignon, and the remaining 17% is Cabernet Franc. So Cabernet through and through, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They're using Cabernet Franc to just round out that fullness that you can get from Cabernet Sauvignon and add a little bit more complexity. So classic style of blending that you see oftentimes in like Bordeaux and things like that. And from a lot of producers in California, but they're doing a really beautiful job. How are they doing this? They are farming sustainably and organically. They're not messing around in the vineyards any more than really they have to. Once they hand harvest these grapes, they're doing that at night to help keep that freshness and that liveliness in the grapes, and it actually comes through beautifully. They are taking them to the winery where they're destemming and sorting by hand as well, before they ferment in stainless steel tanks with naturally occurring yeasts. So whatever yeasts come in from the vineyard on the grapes are the ones that do the fermentation. They're not inoculating, they're not adding anything. What's there is what's there. Once fermentation is complete, they're pressing off the grapes and they are aging them in oak barriques, so French oak barrels, about 15% of which are new. So you're getting some of that oak influence, but it's not clumsy. It's elegant, it's nuanced, and the fruit is really the star of the show. I should mention these vines are an average of 20 years old. Many of them are significantly older than that. And they're only making about 225 cases of this wine in particular. Anything they have is bottled, unfined, and unfiltered, so in all of its natural glory. To dive into the glass, the wine is beautiful. It's ruby with a little bit of like a tawny edge to it. Just a tiny little bit. It's a young wine. It's 2017, so that's pretty much what we expect. On the nose, the fruit is bright and vivacious and alive. It's electric raspberry and blackberry and currant. You get a little bit of toast, you get a little bit of that baking spice from oak, that little toasty kind of nutmeg and clove thing, but not a ton of it. It's not super vanilla-y and heavy, it's there, but it really just beautifully accents that fruit. God, it's gorgeous. There's a little bit of earthiness, and there's a beautiful stony minerality that kind of comes through as well on the palate. It's good. Whew, it's good. It's on the full side of medium. So I wouldn't say it's a super heavy, full-bodied wine. It's on the light side for a grape that ends up usually being full-bodied. That said, it carries beautifully across the palate. The finish just lingers and goes on. You get a little bit of spice, again, from that oak, a little bit of tannin from both the barrel and the grape, but it's velvety and leathery. It's not cloying or overpowering. It's not going to overpower anything you're having for dinner for sure. Again, that fruit is there, and it's super bright and fresh. It's still mouth-watering. As we speak, I can feel my mouth watering. What would I pair this with? I feel like it would pair with anything that a classic California Cabernet would pair with. I would love to pair this with a cheese plate, honestly. I think it'd be great with some cheeses, hard, soft, mature, whatever. Some cheddar cheese, some blue cheese. It's got enough fruit where it would go beautifully, and not enough tannin to crush all those flavors and that nuance. Anything else that you would normally pair a wine like this with? A roast of beef or pork or lamb even. Again, it's not so big where it's going to overshadow any of those more delicate flavors, but it can stand up to the richness of beef and things like that absolutely beautifully. I feel like I get roasted sweet potatoes in my head too. Some kind of root veggies going on would be perfect with that too. Chris, cheers. Awesome wine. Happy to have it at Ancona's. And I should mention that we are including this as well in our 12/13/14 now Wines of Christmas sale. So if that's still going on, you can get all of the details on our website as well. Guys, I wish you the very happiest of holidays. I hope you are drinking something absolutely delicious and celebrating safely and responsibly with whoever you can. Cheers.